A search for confidence
My idea was once I was married, that's when I'll be truly happy.
leads to an unexpected decision.
No dates, no talking, no flirting, just me and Jesus.
Plus, CBN International's Jessica Datsko shares how a painful tumor in her head led to a test of faith in her life. All this on today's 700 Club Interactive. Well, welcome to the show. Navigating the world of dating can be overwhelming and feel kind of like an endless cycle.
Well, that's the way it was for one of our co-hosts, Ashley Key. It was during this time that she felt God calling her to make a decision that would change her life. Check it out.
Hey guys, it's Ashley Key here for 700 Club Interactive, and we are here in the beautiful Shenandoah National Park, and I'm inviting you to join me on this hike as I just share my journey of why I took off a year of dating. Recently, I saw a post on Instagram that said, "Stop waiting for your life to look like something else to be happy. You're missing out on what God is doing right now." And for years, that's the mindset that I had. I thought that when I got married, I would be happy. That was the end-all, be-all. I wasn't happy unless I was being liked by somebody else. I wasn't confident unless I was dating somebody because, again, my idea was once I was married, that's when I'll be truly happy. So I was trying to control it, but I finally got tired of it. I got tired of dating, breaking up, feeling hopeless, dating, breaking up, feeling hopeless. And I finally said yes to the tug to just give him a year of my life, give him a year of just me and him, just me and Jesus, nobody else. No dates, no talking, no flirting, just me and Jesus. And I know that sounds super cliche Christianese, but I'm here to tell you it was one of the best things I could have ever done for myself. Okay, so I'm sure you're wondering by now how that 1 year of no dating really was. There were definitely temptations that made me want to break the fast. People started coming out of the woodworks, messaging me on Instagram, this one person in particular. My first thought was, not today, Satan, but let me consider it. Let me read the message. Let me check this person out. But not today. The desire was there, but it wasn't enough to make me stop being obedient to what God had called me to. But more importantly, he had to really do something in my heart. He dismantled the idol of marriage that I had created. And I really believe Christians of all ages can do that. We can make marriage an idol. Instead of looking to the Lord, we look to marriage as the end-all be-all for our life. And I saw something recently that said, marriage isn't your destination. You are not worthy of love because you're a husband or a wife. You are worthy of love because you're a child of God. And for the first time ever, I let God into this area of my heart. I let him fill the void that was only meant for him to fill. And to be quite honest with you, it was great. For the first time ever, I was content with being single. I was content with where God had me and what he was doing in my life. Romans 12:2 says, "Don't copy the behavior and the customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think." As the year of no dating came to a close, I really saw God just completely transform my mind. He gave me a fresh perspective on dating, marriage, but even more importantly, he gave me a fresh perspective on myself. For the first time ever, again, I began trusting God with my heart. Before, I wasn't doing that, but I finally let him into my heart, and it was the best experience ever. And I'm happy to report that even almost 2 years after that 1 year of no dating, I'm still single. But the fact that I can have a positive attitude about that is the whole reason why I did that. The old Ashley, the old mindset that I had would have been negative towards that. But today I can confidently say I'm still at peace where God has me, and I'm still hopeful that one day he'll give me the desire of my heart. And I know you guys can experience that too. Look, I know firsthand the murky waters of Christian dating, but I'm here to tell you that there is hope. If you feel the tug to also do a year without dating, do it. Everyone's journey is different, but I'm here to tell you that God is faithful. And the best thing, the very best thing we could ever do for ourselves, single or married, is to devote ourselves to God. He will help you, he will heal you because he loves you. Let's go back to that first quote I had mentioned earlier. It says, "Stop waiting for your life to look like something else to be happy. you're missing out on what God is doing right now. And I believe God is calling his kids, his sons and his daughters, to really live the joyful, abundant life now. Not when you're married, not when you have a family, but right now. Just because you're single doesn't mean that you can't enjoy life. I'm living proof of it. I'm enjoying life. I'm at peace where God has me. And I know that that's what he wants for you too. Thanks so much for following me along and allowing me to share my story with you guys about singleness and dating. I hope and pray that it encourages you along your journey too. And remember, it's not about the destination, but about the journey.
Well, we've got Ashley here for more about her journey.
Yes,
Ashley,
we're just going to keep talking about this.
Yeah. and at the outset, thanks for your honesty.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the transparency and just where you are and the struggle that you went through.
Yeah.
And I remember when you first started it. I mean, you went in, I'm going to go on a dating fast.
Yeah.
And then we had a conversation where you were very specific. This is an intimacy fast. I'm not going to give my heart.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, why the difference and what got you started on the fast?
Well, to be honest, I was, like I had mentioned, I was just in this continuous cycle of controlling it. Really, it was about control because I didn't trust the Lord in this area of my life.
What do you mean by controlling?
I was, dating without intention. I was like, oh, well, he seems nice. Sure, let's go ahead and date. But in reality, I knew deep down, maybe I shouldn't. Am I really interested, or am I just doing this to try to control the outcome of, oh, maybe this will be marriage. Maybe that will be a family. But again, that goes back to the fact that I was just making it an idol. And so I felt the Lord just tell me after I read Mo Isom, shout out to Mo Isom, love her. I read her book, Wreck My Life, and she gave a year of her life to the Lord where it was no flirting, no dating, no texting, no talking, just, again, it's cliche, but me and the Lord, just giving my heart to the Lord like I had never done before.
You know what I find so interesting? I don't think it's just Christians either, that many young women especially are really looking for marriage and a family and feel less than without it, but with no understanding of the commitment, the time, the energy that's going to take.
Exactly.
They don't see anything but just marriage.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think it's powerful that we get the understanding. I mean, during this time, it was like the Lord just revealed to me, like, no, I'm your portion. And he's still revealing that to me. I'm still single. And so I still struggle with, the desire, but, coming back to the prayer closet and just saying, no, God, you're my portion. If I'm feeling down, if I'm feeling like envious or jealous of other people who are, getting that desire, it's like, no, God, you're my portion, you are mine, you're my inheritance.
Now, how much does our culture set it up, though? You have high school graduation, you have college graduation, now it's time to get married.
Exactly.
And so the expectation is there. Before the show, I was joking with Terry, so Terry, is marriage an idol in your life? And she was pretty quick, no.
How many years have you been married?
38.
Okay, well, there you go.
Just saying.
So, why did you have it as an idol? Why were you expecting so much fulfillment from that?
I think it's the culture that we live in. I think it's the surrounding culture, whether you're a Christian or not. It's like, oh, you graduate high school, you go to college, you get married, you have a family, that's your life. And in reality, it's like, God has such an amazing plan beyond those two things. I mean, he uses those things. They're biblical. It's a covenant. However, it's so much more than that. And so God really opened my eyes during this time and is continuing to open my eyes that he's got a lot. He's got a lot in store, not just a husband and kids, but a lot in store.
And, I want to apologize and say I am one, not with you specifically, but who is, we have a guy on our team in Orphans Promise who I just think is an amazing guy. And we're always saying, we need to find a good woman for him. And as you're saying this, I'm thinking, why am I doing that? I mean, he's perfectly content. I'm the one who's, I don't want him to be alone.
Yeah, no, I get that. I totally get that. And I think that's great.
But he's not alone.
But he's not alone.
I know. Okay.
No, but it's good.
And he's fulfilled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
mercy. It's like bookends closing in on the deal.
I mean, Ash, would you be doing what you're doing now if you were married and going through the let's start a family?
Probably not. And that's the beauty of it. I mean,
same way anyway.
Not the same way. I think, God uses our pain for a purpose. Nothing is left. He uses the crumbs. He uses it all. So, my dumb decisions that I made years ago and just the way I was handling my love life and where I've come to now. I mean, he's using it. There wouldn't be an Unhooked. There wouldn't be what I'm doing now if I hadn't gone through what I went through.
All right, give us a preview. You coming out with yet another Unhooked campaign.
Yeah. So
this isn't about dating.
No. So last year was about, singleness and dating and abstaining from the hookup culture, because I was involved in that, and that's my testimony too, coming out of that. But, we asked the question, we were like, what perpetuates the hookup culture? First thought that came to our minds, pornography. So this year we're going to be tackling the stronghold of pornography that is on our generation, that is in the church. We're going to be tackling that. So, yeah.
Wow.
How young does it start?
I mean, stats show that as young as 8 years old, kids, boys and girls, that's another myth, that it's just a boy problem, a male problem. It's not. Are viewing pornography, whether it's, an ad that they see while they're on YouTube or they're on the internet, it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Well, it's wonderful to be doing something about it. I love that you're doing that. So keep an eye out in February for Ashley's Unhooked event in January, and more during Valentine's week in February. And so be a part of that.
Yeah.
For everybody, for all of us, for the well-being of our culture.
And this topic of pornography, it's not just for single people. It's anyone and everyone.
It's everybody.
Yeah.
Well, it's the untold story. It's addictive.
Yes.
And there are plenty of hooks out there in the internet space to attract you to it. And then once you get in it, it's very hard to get out.
So get unhooked.
Get unhooked.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. There'll be more. We'll have a whole lot more from Ashley.
Yeah.
Well, coming up, her sweet 16 became with the discovery of a dangerous bump on her head. CBN International's Jessica Datsko joins us to share how God sustained her during what was the scariest time of her life. When we come back. Well, growing up, Jessica had the reputation for being the healthy child. But as a teenager, that was about to change.
At 16, Jessica Datsko noticed a painful bump on her head. It grew quickly, and an MRI confirmed she had a tumor. Yet in the face of a rare cancer diagnosis, Jessica never doubted God's goodness. Her surgery and healing inspired her to share stories of God's providence in all the nations.
God has an incredible way of redeeming our stories.
Today, she is host and producer of CBN International's Life Changers.
Well, Jessica is here, and thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I didn't know that you are a miracle until I got into this story. So you're turning 16. What happens?
I just started feeling pain in the back of right here in my head, and a week later a bump formed, and it just kept growing and growing, and it was just, we didn't really know what was happening.
Okay. You actually took a trip during this time. You went to the Bahamas.
Yeah,
right?
we had a family vacation, and on the
You couldn't cancel
ship,
the vacation for the...
Well, we just thought, at first we thought it was like a zit or something. And I even tried to pop it. It was weird. And of course nothing came out, and so we just prayed and felt peace to still go on to the cruise we went. And it just kept growing, and the Lord just sustained my life.
You started getting really, really bad headaches, right?
Yeah, it was really painful, and even Advil wouldn't take care of it.
Okay.
Yeah, it never fully went away.
So when did you get, how long from you first notice a bump to you get a diagnosis, you have something that could end your life? Yeah,
so after the trip, it was the end of the year, we came back home for Christmas, and I went to the doctor. They sent me to get x-rays, and in the x-ray there was a hole in my bone. So where white bone should have been, there was a hole about like the size of a sand dollar, of a big sand dollar. And so at that point they're like, you're missing, bone is missing. So then I had an MRI, and that's when they diagnosed it as Langerhans cell histiocytosis, which...
Easy for you to say.
LCH. It's a rare type of cancer or autoimmune disease. It's debated. So, yeah.
How does it start?
So it's basically these Langerhans cells, which are part of our immune system, and they're all throughout our body. Sometimes they reproduce too quickly, and so they reproduced too quickly in my bone and basically started eroding my bone, and then it was headed towards my brain.
That's scary.
Yeah.
At 16, that's really scary.
Yeah.
What went through your mind?
So I remember thinking, Lord, well, if I'm going to die, well, okay, I'll be in your presence. But then I remember I was like, but I feel like I haven't done anything for you yet, Jesus. And I feel like, there's been prophetic words over my life since I was a little girl. They haven't come to pass. So I remember going into my prayer closet and just singing and worshiping the Lord. And there was a song I was singing that said, give me a song to sing and I'll sing it for you. Who can praise you from the grave, quoting the Psalms.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, if you want to take me, sure, but I don't think you should. Please don't.
There's some good reasons for me to be around.
Yeah.
You're a worshiper. That's one of the signatures that you have. And it seems like you've always been that way.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yes. Since I was a little girl, I would just make up songs and just start singing since I could almost talk. And and later I learned to sing from scripture, and I just love doing that in my time with the Lord. And that's really what sustained me even during this season, singing scripture over myself.
Okay, so you get a devastating diagnosis, and what you do with that is you go into your prayer closet and you start singing worship songs to the Lord.
Yeah. So right before that, actually, I did have a why moment. Why is this happening? And I asked my brother, Roberto, who was previously on the show. He's 7.5 years older than me. And I just, admire him so much. And he's walked through his own journey with the Lord. And I've seen so many miracles in his life that I couldn't doubt the goodness of God, because I just had seen that goodness in his life through my parents' lives, their testimony as a family. So I just asked him why, and I don't even remember what he said, but it was enough to just give me hope again and remind me that I trust God in his life, that he's alive, he's a miracle. So it's going to be the same for me. So his story empowered me, and that's what really led me to go back into the prayer closet. And it was just a moment of surrender and giving everything to the Lord. And just after that, I think I just trusted that he would use it for his glory somehow.
Sometimes you have to walk through the valley of the shadow of death. He doesn't say we're going to spare it from that. He says, when you walk through it, I will be with you.
Yeah, and we're set apart in the midst of it.
Yeah. You started praying specifically for the surgeons who were going to operate. You started praying specifically for the operation, what would be the outcome. You started praying specific for everything. What was a 4-hour scheduled surgery turned into a 2-hour surgery.
Yeah, actually 1.5 hours.
And so the doctors are amazed at what happened. What happened during surgery?
So right before the surgery, I heard 2 testimonies, and faith comes by hearing, and I think the Lord just really gave me the gift of faith in that moment to believe that what God had done for 2 other people that I didn't even know he could do for me. So the first testimony was of a woman who had a type of pre-surgery. It was a very complicated surgery she was scheduled for, and the doctor went in and said, "Who went in before me? This is super easy." So he quickly extracted the tumor she had. So I heard that, and I said, "I want that." And then I just started asking the Lord, the doctors say the tumor is going towards my brain. I want you to push it out. And right before the surgery, the days before it, I felt a unique pain as if it was coming out more. And so the doctor went in and the surgeon opened me up, and he said it popped right out. Like he came and told my parents. It just was so easy. And then he put in the coral and bone graft to cover the bone, the hole where I was missing bone. And he said that it just started meshing really quickly. And that was the second testimony I heard.
So you started healing during surgery.
Yeah. So the second testimony I had heard was of a family that prayed Psalm 91 over their daughter who had been in a terrible car accident. And she recovered extremely quickly to the surprise of, against all odds. And so I said, "Lord, I want that. I want to recover extremely quickly." And I just started recovering so speedily. I was off of morphine in 24 hours. I switched to Tylenol, even though they had prescribed me narcotics. And I was off of Tylenol in 8 days and back in school in a week.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And that was 7 years ago. Since that time, no cancer.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
Perfect health.
Well, there was a bit of a challenge.
You had a scare.
Yeah, we had the doctor was sure I needed chemotherapy after the surgery, and then just the whole rest of 2013 was going to medical checkups, and there were moments where I did doubt. And if it weren't for my parents who said, "No, the Lord healed you," the Lord said, "Peace be still" to those Langerhans cells, and froze them, and they just really were warriors, my parents, in the midst of even moments of doubt for me. I'm cleared. I don't have any more cells of Langerhans cell, but it's just, the Lord's amazing.
Okay. Well, if you want to see more of Jessica and her wonderful miracles, All you have to do is check out Life Changers. It's a new show launching in January with CBN International. You can find it on the CBN News channel. You can also find it on the CBN Family app. It's available either place. And check out Jessica's new show and realize she's a miracle. Terry, over to you.
Well, up next, bullied at school as a young girl, how did she take her revenge as a teen? And what did she do once it backfired? The payback she never saw coming, that's still ahead. Michelle Glasgow was bullied relentlessly as a child, and then it was payback time. What did she do to get sweet revenge? And how did it all go sour?
I hated myself as a little girl. I hated myself.
No one ever suspected Michelle Glasgow carried so much pain. To her two older sisters and her Jamaican parents, she was outgoing and kind. But to some of the kids in her Toronto, Canada community, she was the black girl who didn't belong.
They would come around me, circle me, and make fun of my hair, tell me that I was ugly. I used to get told that a lot when I was younger. I used to tell the teachers about it, but they wouldn't really, do anything. I would say, God, I wish I would just get hit by a car. And I would say, God, did you make me just so that I could suffer?
The bullying left her feeling vulnerable, alone, and angry.
I would try to hide. I would eat my lunch in the washroom. I would get in trouble so that I would have detention to not go out for recess. I started getting really tired of being rejected.
In her teens, she became fixated on the tough image and lifestyle portrayed in rap videos.
People desired to be around them, and that's what I didn't have.
Then she entered high school and womanhood. Once the object of ridicule, Michelle was now the object of attention. She became a tease, wearing provocative, revealing clothes.
So that was how I started to take back the power, was I started to notice that that's how I got attention, was by my looks. I started feeling a lot better about myself. I started feeling like I was finally taking, control, and I was actually in charge now.
With her newfound power, she started getting into fights and hanging out and smoking pot with a hardened drug dealer.
I just thought that it was cool. It was exactly what I was seeing in the music videos. I knew that people were scared of him. I just thought then I was gonna get that same, reputation.
But Michelle was still in pain. At 16, she dropped out and left home, coping with alcohol and a growing dependence on pot. A year later at a party, Michelle was raped.
I thought I had control, and then I realized that I didn't.
The old wounds now reopened, and Michelle's heart grew colder.
I felt like I had to work even harder now to be in control. I couldn't let that happen again. I couldn't let somebody make me inferior again.
Then in 2010, Michelle, now 19, met a guy in her neighborhood named Anthony. They hung out, smoked a little pot, and quickly became friends.
He was always respectful and just seemed to care. It was different than anything I had experienced before.
They started dating, and despite her growing attraction to him, Michelle was determined to stay in control and guard her heart.
It was more like, okay, what can I get from him before he tries to get something from me? I guess I didn't want to let go of that control because I thought then I was vulnerable for him to hurt me. I actually started to really like him. And then there was this fear that, he was going to reject me too.
Afraid of losing him, she began going to church with him and his mom. Then one Sunday, Anthony prayed to accept Jesus into his heart. It was a great moment in his life, but for Michelle,
I remember when we were driving home, I just didn't talk because I thought, I can't believe, you chose Jesus over me. So you're gonna get saved, and if we die right now, you're gonna go to heaven, and you don't care that I'm gonna go to hell. I was so angry at him.
So the next Sunday, she prayed to accept Jesus. but it was an empty gesture driven by her fear of rejection. 2 months later, Michelle says she got a word from God.
Jesus showed me that I had never been rejected, that he was actually with me the entire time. All the times of feeling like I needed to do stuff to not be rejected, and to know that I did all these things that was worthy of rejection. His grace and his mercy was still on me.
At once, along with the fear and anger, God took away Michelle's need for drugs and alcohol.
I didn't feel like I had anything to escape from anymore. I finally felt peace. He was transforming my heart. I was able to finally let go of all the barriers I had put myself in and let go of wanting to be in control.
Anthony and Michelle eventually married and are raising 2 children and clinging to a simple truth:
that I am accepted and that I am loved. And I remember Jesus' sacrifice. And I just realized that even if I was the only person on earth, he still would have died for me.
That holds true for you as well. If you're trying to find love and you're looking in all the wrong places, if you feel a need to control and your life is out of control, if you have a deep longing to understand who you are and why you're here, you need to come to the only source who can answer those things for you. The one who created you, it's Jesus. It's Jesus. And his arms are open. They always have been. He has always been with you. Let him come into your heart and your life today. Let him change the things in you that need changing. Let him use the gifts and abilities he created you with. Your life will never be the same. If you need to pray with someone, our prayer line's always available. It's 1-800-700-7000. Gordon?
Here's a word from Romans. It's chapter 12, verse 21. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. And realize in life today, there's so many things that are evil, that are trying to overcome you. In that story we just saw, how many relationships, how many things the world was offering. And when you realize, no, you don't have to be overcome with that. You can come to him. He will always accept you. He will always love you. He will always forgive you, because he wants you to be with him for all eternity. For Terry, for me, for all of us here, God bless you. Merry Christmas, and we'll see you again.